Hello and welcome to this video, and this video is going to be called why Spotify is actually rubbish. Right, in the past I've tried to push against that sort of attitude that Spotify is the worst thing that's ever happened to music and that it's rips musicians off, and tried to explain the actual reality of how Spotify works. But I've had an email from Spotify this morning, and it's changed my opinion of them. And I think that this will show you why I think the deal for musicians on Spotify isn't great at all. But it's not what you think, right? So let's have a look at the revenue split for Spotify. So I've got a really simple graph here for you, if I can just pull it up. So I'm on digitalmusicnews.com. Let's just pull this graph up there. It's very simple. There we go. So you can see the way Spotify makes its money is through subscriptions. People pay a monthly fee, and also through adverts. And so if you haven't paid a subscription, every now and then an advert comes through that has been paid to be there by the people who want to advertise, and that money goes to Spotify, and that's called the ad revenue. If you have the ad revenue up and the subscriptions up, you have the total amount, right? Now, I think in Spotify's case, the ad revenue goes to the artist, and it goes with this split that you're looking at the moment, which is 30% to Spotify and 70% here or there to the artist. Now, compared to YouTube here, YouTube is 44%. That's absolutely incredible. It's an incredible split, and I don't know how Spotify actually can make a profit. Well, I don't think they do they? So it says here, diagram 2, how artists are paid. Spotify monthly revenue times artist Spotify streams times total Spotify streams times 70% to master and publishing owners times artist royalty rate equals the artist payout. Now, what we actually got going on there, it's just trying to take, it's quite simple. This is that you register with Spotify, okay, and they work out a percentage of what you are in terms of the whole of all the Spotify stuff, and then they pay you all the revenue from the whole of Spotify, but they pay you that percentage that you are occupying in that. Right, then of course they're going to pay you 70% of that, and then it says artist royalty rate. Right, now this is because that money is going to the master and publishing owners. You see this here, the master and publishing owners. Right, so if you have a record deal, this is rotten, because that minuscule amount of money that you're getting, you know, if you think of that as a percentage of the whole of Spotify, that minuscule amount is now going to your record label or your publishers, and then they are passing 15% off of that. But if you're an independent artist without a label, you're getting 70% of that revenue. That is really, really good, right? Now, in reality, why is that terrible then? And the reason is because in real terms, if you're a band or an artist and you put your stuff on Spotify, you're getting your payment directly based upon how popular you are. And the reason why most people aren't making that much money is they think that if they get like 100,000 or 200,000 listens, that somehow means that they should get paid for that. But you are getting paid your market share, because 100,000, 200,000 listens is minuscule, right? Let's put this into context. I haven't played in anything that's like worldwide massive, but I've played on some albums that have sold, right? So say what some of the biggest albums I've sold, maybe IQ or Frost, maybe they've sold 20,000. It's probably more than that, but we'll do 20,000. Let's drop it down to 10,000, right? So people buy that album. Then how many times do they listen to that album? Well, let's be conservative and say 10 times. So each of the tracks on that album is being listened to 100,000 times. Now, if there's 10 tracks on the album, say, that's 1 million listens, right? For an album that's not that big, right? So 100,000, 200,000, 1 million listens doesn't really mean anything. You have to get right up high in the numbers. And we've got it here that, and this doesn't really mean anything, but it shows you that a global hit album over a month could be making you $500,000, or near $500,000, which I think is pretty impressive, considering you're not having to distribute albums, right? You can reach people digitally, so you could have a hit where you're having to go on tour. The costs are lower, and so this is the music industry. This is what we've got. The problem is this does not suit niche artists, right? So that figure there, niche indie album, God knows how many listens that album. I bet it's a couple of million. So music that's only been listened to by 10,000, 5,000 people. In the old system, where they made albums and sold albums, they could just about make a profit, and you can't anymore for the niche music. So it's knocked the niche music out. But it doesn't matter, because we have Bandcamp, and Bandcamp is basically Spotify for niche artists. So it's all sorted. It's all great, right? And so this is why I have never really gone, well, Spotify's terrible. Now, you know why they say Spotify's terrible. They say Spotify's terrible because they're politically on the left, and they just see them as sort of money guzzling billionaires that are just there to make money and be horrible capitalists, and they don't care about the art or the artists. And I don't think it's ever not been like that. And in the end, the people who are there to make money, I think they should be motivated by making money. And if you're motivated by making money, then you're going to do a certain thing. Is this good for creativity? Of course it's not, but it never has been. I haven't actually got a problem with this, right? So why am I upset, right? It's because I received this morning this email. Hello, not hello Andy, just hello. We are notifying you of an action on your content that may have happened as early as April 2025. Our earlier notification regarding the action was not delivered due to a technical issue that has now been fixed. So they wanted to tell me. So the thing is they're almost saying, you've been getting away with something, and I have been getting away with something. I'm going to tell you what it is. Our automatic review process found an episode that may be in violation of our content policies. As a result, we've removed it. The episode title is called Ray of Creation, and it's on the show Andy Edwards Interviews, and the format is audio, and there's the link to it. Why did this happen? Spotify Podcasters supports the distribution of audio and video podcasts. Content that appears to be exclusively or primarily music is automatically taken down, right? And then I can go and look at that. And I've actually got the content policies. Let's have a quick blast over that, and then I'll tell you what's happened. We want to ensure that creators are using the appropriate channels to share their content with users. Podcasts, including those submitted via Spotify for creators, should not be used to distribute music tracks, DJ mixes, or similar content. Spotify reserves the right to remove podcasts or episodes that violate this policy, regardless of the licensing status of your music. If you are a creator looking to get your music on Spotify, check out our Spotify for Artists guide. You can also use one of our preferred providers to distribute music. So, let me explain how this works, right? If you want to get your music on Spotify, anyone could do that. You could do that now. If you want, you could, anybody can do it. Pick your mobile phone up, sing a song in Food Glorious Food. So you pick up Food Glorious Food. What next is the question? Run on the run, food. Can't remember it anyway. So say you sang that down, you've now made a track, right? Now, theoretically, some of the royalties should be going to Lionel Bart, but let's not worry about that now. You've made your tune, you want to put it up on Spotify. Well, you can't go to Spotify and put it up. You have to put it up with a distributor. Now, the distributors, the online digital distributors, have replaced the old distributors that used to physically get albums into shops all over the world. If I go check out our preferred providers here, you will see that we've got things like DistroKid, CD Baby, Emu Bands, Record Union, Amuse, Root Note, Sound On, blah blah blah. Now if I just go to the one at the top, DistroKid, right, the way DistroKid works is, he wants me to sign up with Google. I actually put my music up on DistroKid, okay, and they will put it not just on Spotify, but they will put it across all the streaming services, but they will do it as a cost. Now, of course, it would be lovely to have the cost up front, but of course we haven't got the cost. Then we got questions we might be asking. I'm currently asking, what is the cost? How can I get a verified artist profile? I don't want to know that. Can I claim my Spotify for artist profile prior to? No, I don't want to know that. How do I get on a Spotify? Everyone knows how to do that. How do I add a new artist? I don't want that. I want to know how much I'm going to have to pay you to do this. Where is that? DistroKid. Don't like this. I'm going back to find another one that might just tell me how much they are going to. Let's try CD Baby. So this is the worst bit, all right, is to get your music on Spotify, you're going to have to pay. All right. CD Baby is one of the largest independent music distributors globally, trusted by over 2 million artists. We deliver your tracks to Spotify and 150 other platforms for a one-time fee of $9.99. That's pretty good, actually, but you're going to have to spend $10 to get your tracks up. Now, how many tracks? That's probably an album's worth of tracks. And how long will that stay up? Is that forever? And then they'd overtake them down? I find that hard to believe. But each of these has their own way of getting you to pay. Some people will let you put one track up, but if you want to put a whole album up, then you have to do that, blah blah blah. So the point is that for most people getting their tracks on Spotify, they aren't actually the artist. They're the customer. They're the customer of this. All right? And these companies make money. Now, whether there's a link between these companies and Spotify, I'm actually not aware of, but there could well be that these are working together. So you get your food, glorious food, you put it up. Now, of course, nobody listens to it whatsoever, maybe except for your family and a few things like that. Now, they will collect the money for you, but there's not going to be any money there. But the millions and millions of people that are doing this across the platform, putting their tracks up in the hope that someone's going to listen to them and they get 20 plays, that's a tiny amount of ad revenue that they don't have to pay. Spotify get that back themselves. And it's within those cracks that the industry works, right? So, I found an anomaly here, and it's based upon this fact, is that not only on Spotify can you put music up, but you can put any sort of audio or even video, and you can put podcasts up. Now, there is a website called Substack, and I'm going to go there now. Let's go to Substack. Right, so this is, if I view it, this is my Substack, right? Now, on here, I have a whole bunch of things, and there's basically two parts to this. There's a part called The Andy Show, right? And on here I have things like these essays here. Now these essays, if you want to read them, okay, every now and then I write essays, and this often comes out of my research for the YouTube videos, and the essays usually have more in them than what I say in the YouTube videos. And so I put these up here, and they take quite a long time to write, and over the years I've written a lot of them, and so you have to pay a fee to read these essays. I bunged them all here, and I make a paltry amount. It really is just a few pounds, right? Not many people do this, but there's quite a lot of stuff there. But another aspect to this is the Andy Edwards interviews. Now, a lot of the interviews that I have, let's try and find one of those. There. So here I've got these podcasts, if it will load. There we go. So there is a podcast.
Playing from desktop 0 at 60s 8.
and that's my speaker. So modern monetization for musicians. Now these are actually free. Anyone can listen to those. Some of them are paid, but on the whole they're free. Now the thing that I found interesting about Substack was, this is all free. I'm not paid for this, and I make money out of Substack. Substack is a good place, you know, especially if you're a writer and you want to start making a bit of money, this would be the place to go. But when you upload your audio here, so literally you could go around your friend's house and have a chat about your favorite Genesis albums, record it on your phone, and then zap it up to Substack. And when it arrives there, not only will it be here, but it will also upload it automatically to Spotify. And I thought this was very interesting, so I thought I could have my Substack running here, and all the interviews that I put on, or discussions, will just automatically appear on Spotify. Now I haven't really pursued this end. This is something that I have explored more for my own reference, so I can come on and know about the industry and talk about it, because I'm very interested in finding ways that creative artists can make money, and I'm interested in how it is, and I'm telling you on this video. This is full of information of how you make money. And Substack, as you can see, is great because you can get subscription here for what you've written. You can get a subscription for videos. This works almost like Patreon. I am a massive Patreon fan. I've got a link down below. You can become a free member or a paid member if you want to go and check that out. And I think that in the long run, my creative space will be Patreon and not YouTube. I think YouTube will run its natural course, and at some point we will all have to jump ship, I think, and say, right, we've got this audience now come over to Patreon. And then once you're at Patreon, there is far more freedom than you get on YouTube, right? So let's now go back to Spotify, right? Let's go back to if I can find it. Yeah, let's go back to that split again, shall we? Very simple. Right, so when you put a record up on Spotify, you have to pay to put it up. That's what we've established. But to put a podcast up, like I said, I don't have to pay. If you go through Substack, you don't have to pay. Or you could do a Spotify podcast. And so this is the bit I find weird. You don't have to pay to put a podcast up. That's free, but you have to pay Spotify or the distributors for Spotify to get music up. Your music plays, and if you haven't paid for the subscription, they will play maybe 9, 10, 11 tracks. Then they will play some adverts. And they will play maybe in that point 4 adverts. So if they've played 4 adverts, and say you've got 12 tracks play or 6 tracks play, you can work out that the ad revenue here that's going in is being spread out amongst all those tracks. And in reality, as we've said, it's been spread out as a ratio between everything on the whole channel, right? Now, that doesn't seem fair, does it? Right? But if you go to a podcast, okay, podcasts are different because of the amount of time they last for. Okay, so a podcast, but let's see if we can get the revenue split for podcast revenue, because I realise I might be wrong on this revenue split. And I might be close to really spot on this. Right, so it's a different split, as you can see. It splits the revenue 50-50. So it's not as good a split, but the people who are paying for subscriptions, they get to keep 100% of that, right? Now, what we want to know is how the ad revenue is actually paid. Is it paid as a percentage of the whole, or if you've got a 3 hour, like Joe Rogan does a 3 hour podcast, imagine the adverts that are in that, and those are unique. They're there for Joe Rogan. And over a 3 hour period, he could have had, if they're putting adverts every 15 minutes, let's say there's four, that's 12, an hour. So we could have had something like 36 ads throughout that podcast. Now, I want to see if we could find so right, so here we go. This means for every 1,000 listens, the podcaster can earn between $15 and $100. Now, you'd think about that with the music, it's way more, right? If the audience size is bigger, engagement metrics, the money will go up. So my point here is, and I wish I'd explored this bit a little bit more deeper. All I want to know is whether you get, right, here we go. Demystifying the revenue calculation methods. Understanding how Spotify calculates podcast revenue is essential for setting realistic expectations. For advertising, the primary metric is CPM, cost per 1,000 impressions. If your podcast has 10,000 monthly listeners and you secure sponsorships at a 25 cost per 1,000 impressions rate, you could potentially earn $250 per episode. For subscription revenue, calculations are much more straightforward. I'm still not quite getting what the kick is off the individual adverts. But as you can see, YouTube's podcast model provides approximately $1 to $2 per 1,000 views through ad monetization. There we go, that's it, through ad monetization. So here it's much more of a direct correlation between the ads. And the reason is because on a music channel, your track is on, it could be on playlists, it could be on your own page. So your tracks are much more ephemeral and it's being shared out. You are having to fight along everybody else. So basically, you can't expect to get much on something that's 3 minutes long because the listener is only looking at you for 3 minutes. And so you're not going to get anything. If somebody is there for 3 hours, Spotify knows that. And then it goes to its their clients, the advertisers, that it says, come and advertise with us. And then they say, okay, but how much are we going to get? Well, I say, well, look, if you put an ad on Joe Rogan's show, you're going to get that many million over this time, and they're all going to be there. So this really shows how Spotify, I believe, is biased towards podcasters, and it's biased against musicians. And this is the real problem. Musicians are having to pay to get their stuff on, Spotify and all the other streaming platforms, and then share out the ad revenue with everybody that's on there. So what I did here, if I could just go to my Substack, is I did this, knowing this. Right, how do I find where I'm going to getting a bit confused? View site. Right. So, there we go. So what I did is I took my latest album, I mixed it all into one massively long track, and I put it up as a podcast. Right? This is an idea I've been entertaining, an album but presented in podcast form. This version differs from the original in that the original 7 tracks have been edited into one suite. I did a whole edit so it all flows together. The album was inspired by the film's Interstellar, it's got all the stuff there, right? So I had this idea of, I wonder what would happen if you presented your album rather than in individual tracks. You presented it as an album and we started to go, there's the new album, you listen to all of it or none of it. And if this caught on, you could actually put chapters in there, so you could have people to do that, and then you can make an album which is an hour long, and under the podcast rules you would make more money. Now, of course, nobody goes to Spotify to listen to my album, so I didn't expect to make anything out of it, right? And actually, I would be much happier for people, if they want that experience, to go to my Substack and listen to the album there. Because once they're on Substack, they're in my little world, and they can have an explore of all the stuff that I do there. But it seems that Spotify won't allow that. Now, how much music can you have in a podcast? Because, of course, podcasts have music. But the truth is the way they've got the rules, we are starting to see a bias against musicians. And I think the reason for that is, I hate to say it, is that a podcaster could go online and talk about something, and if they know what they're doing and they know how to go about that, they will attract an audience, and Spotify needs that. But the thing is, the musicians, we've talked our power down so much in the industry for a whole bunch of reasons. I'll switch this off now, I think. What do I mean by that? Well, we expect people to pay for an album. We expect people to pay for 40 minutes worth of material, or we expect people to pay for a CD's worth of material, which is too long, and nobody actually wants that much music. They don't consume music at that sort of size. Whereas they could go and switch on the TV, go to Netflix and watch like 2.5 hour films that cost millions to make, that have got a much longer soundtrack and much higher production values. Our product lost its charm about 20 years ago. It's not worth what it was. People used to buy photographs at one point. You don't go out and buy photographs now because they're all out there. And what musicians produce as a product isn't wanted now enough for people to pay for it, right? When somebody buys an album or CD, I have to be honest, they are buying the actual thing in itself now. They're trying to buy a part of it. It's a different thing whatsoever. That's the first thing. Second thing, the democratization of music through the internet, which means people can now make albums themselves in their bedroom. They can be creative and express themselves, means that they are now customers. And that is what we're seeing here, is the industry is now going, how can we make money out of people who want to make their own music at home? Well, their egos are such that they can't just make the music and then put it on the shelf. They'll want to put it out there and put it on Spotify. And so, Spotify is just full, as I said, of millions and millions of artists that no one listened to, but there is a tiny amount of ad revenue. So they get fleeced twice. They get fleeced by paying for it to go up, and then they get fleeced again. Right, and then on top of that, you have got, in terms of performing bands and live bands, a lot of sort of now middle-aged people that are reasonably good players, but they're not professional, who are willing to go out and play for nothing. And so the whole thing has been driven down. I could go on and on about this, but the whole thing has been driven down. And so the reason why musicians are paying for it is because the way we have played this over the years is that what we do has little to no value, right? Now, you could go to Udio now and you can make your tracks using AI. Well, once you've created those tracks, you can bang them up on Spotify, and believe me, Spotify will become that. Either people outside using AI to create music, or sorry, I've got a really bad cold at the moment and I'm fighting a sneeze, so I might sneeze at some point. I can feel it building up the whole time. Look at my nose. It's like, can you see the massive sneeze that's contained within that nose? Oh, God, my nose is blocking up so bad at the moment. Oh, But I wanted to get this, when I had this email this morning, I thought I'm going to get up and talk about this while it's fresh in my mind. So that's what I'm trying to do. So, but I'm trying my hardest here. Musicians, we're not valued anymore. We're customers. We buy electric guitars. We go to YouTubes like this and listen to interviews about our favourite bands. We make our tracks, which means we buy digital audio workstations, and we buy microphones and audio interfaces, and then we put our music out there and we pay for it to get out. We're customers. It's a hobby. This is what music has become. And the commercial end of music, as you can see, makes a whole bunch of money, but that is moving, as you are very aware, more and more to the machine. And that's the reason for that. It's not because that's the best music. It's because the music that's listened to loads, that is I hate to say this, people are going to hate this now, but the music that's listened to loads is not very good, because people don't have taste. And I try and make this point here. Most people are quite happy to just have their phone in on the background with a beat going on and some repeated vocal phrase, which is quite catchy, that just sort of eases their day along, and the machine can create that. Now you go to AI and try and get it to do a podcast. If you go to AI and say, do a podcast, you've got to tell it what to say. Even if it's just a prompt. And then whatever the prompt you say, it's just going to come out with cliches, because by definition, AI is a cliche. In music, we don't care about cliches, and the world doesn't mind. They'll have as many cliches as you can throw at me. You will love cliches. You don't want to hear anything you've never heard before. You want to hear what you've heard before regurgitated back at you in another form. That's what you want. That's what everybody wants, True music fans that want their mind blown by something they've never heard before are few and far between. And that is the way it has always been. And that market for the familiar drove the music industry. That's why all rock and roll records sound the same. Right? That's why all disco records sound the same, And so, I think we've got no one else but ourselves to blame. But podcasts something different. Because the mainstream media, we were very aware that was our entertainment, but that was actually also blasting out cliche, seen it all before. So when you put your news on, doesn't matter what country you are in, it's going to go bigga digga big digga 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 big digga news at 9, and then the bloke's going, hello there. Lots of things have happened today, including things that were really bad. There's been some good ones, but we'll leave those to the end. Let's really concentrate on the bad ones, because it might get you really frightened, and then you'll have to appease yourself by buying into stuff, and that's the capitalist model. So we will have adverts halfway through this, and by the time you'll be really frightened, thinking you're either going to die, or you're not good looking enough, or you smell, and before you know, you'll be buying a deodorant, you will be buying some hair products to make yourself look handsome, and maybe buying some security so no one can break into your house and kill you. Right, so that is basically what that's all we had, and in that you sifted out. Mainstream media is dying, and the reason is because if you're sat at home, you can click on a podcast and have some bloke like me just rabbiting on, and you might go, well, Andy might be talking rubbish, but in the end, at least he's the bloody real deal, because of course I am. You can see me here. I've got a cold. I've got a blocked up nose. I'm telling you that now. Right, I'm telling you it. You look at my nose. It's got a massive sneeze in it. It's blocking up as I talk. No newsreader's going to say that to you. Right, and you may think that is like, whatever. Now I forgot what I was going to say. You love all this, don't you? You can even have a song if you want. Do you have a song about it? Just to finish it up. My problem is that I always think I can pick my guitar. But when I seriously play guitar, I always put altered tunings on it. I don't stand a chance with that one. I've got to deliver it at the end. Do you have a little song about it, about Spotify? Oh, we've got another guitar. It's good, isn't it? He organised this. This is an awful sounding guitar. It sounds about 20 quid. Who cares though? I wrote this little song for you. It was about all I could do, and I stuck it on Spotify last night. I was very excited and I told my friends. They listen, but I think they think I'm round the bend. but this little song's on Spotify. It's a lovely sight. And then I looked at the ad revenue, and it wasn't very much at all. And then I saw, sorry, A minor, and I saw Andy's podcast, and I realised why I'm poor, because they're ripping me off every day. They are taking all the money and they don't pay. If I was a podcaster like Joe Rogan, I'd make more cash. But I'm not good enough for talking. I just like writing my lovely songs. It can't be wrong. Go to G7. It will sound more dominant and take you back to the major chord, and that will finish my song. Finish my song. Finish my song. Finish my song. I finish my song. He finishes his song. He finished his song. He finished his song. Finish your song. Put it on Spotify. Make no money, but you feel like you're famous. That is what it's all about. Everybody shouting north and south. Oh, it's a way to be happy. I will tell my mummy and my daddy. But don't you worry about the weird chords at the end of the tune. They are not for you. They are for the more musically inclined who have taste. Oh, I tell you, it's funny. I feel terrible. But whilst I was doing that, I was in a little realm of happiness, even though it was rubbish. And that's the problem with us musicians. That's the problem. We love doing it too much. And these capitalist bastards know how to exploit us. If you like this video, please like. If you want to see some more like this, subscribe. I did a screen thing where I was working. I've never done that before, so see how that works. So if you like that, that's good. And obviously go and see my Substack and have a look around, you know. And if you want me to explain my newfound knowledge of how musicians and creative people should be working, that's what I'm here for. And Sunday's the day we should be doing it. So if you want to know more about that, you know, come and tell me. Give me some ideas of what to talk about. Because I run out of ideas, and I have to have ideas, you know. It'd be so much easier if I could just write songs like that, wonderful songs. See you all, bye bye.
Susie and Peppa are in a secret club.
It's a shame you can't go and see a proper prog gig or a proper heavy jazz fusion gig. It's a shame you can't sit down on an afternoon, have a nice cup of tea. So you don't have to be staying up till 11, 12 o'clock at night. You know, all that rubbish you have to do. Yeah. Come out, you have to park your car, you get home, you got to work the next day, you know, Sunday afternoon. Isn't there any way we could go and see a gig?
While the Sunday club calls, embrace the sound of your dreams. Join up in crafting the magic. Together we're bursting the seams.
The hood, the gangster.
It's running. Budge off a bit. It's going to play in a minute.
Electron ain't no fun. Genesis, they take the piss. ELP, not for me.
that I really know my prog, so they will listen to me when I come on and tell you that you need to become a patron. That's the easiest way of doing it. You can buy tickets online, there's all those links are up, but I think in the long term the best way to get involved in the Sunday Club is to become a patron. Free member, you can have a think about it, see what's going on, and just get yourself over there, and if you can, sign yourself up to the live streaming, because I think it's going to be a very important way of opening up new avenues for progressive rock, and so that we can keep the thing alive, and that bands that would normally only be able to sell 10 tickets in any town can actually access a worldwide progressive rock audience, which could be 1,000 people. This will spread the word of prog, and before we know it, it won't be dying. You know, as IQ and bloody Brion get to their last prog gasps, you know, which can't be long. It can't be long, can it? I mean, Steve Rothery's not a healthy chap, is he?
I'm actually sat in the, we call it the glass room. It's a part of Jellyman's. It's bigger than my room, a lot longer. Not quite as wide, but a lot longer. Now, if you want to know the sort of bands I've got lined up, the first gig is going to be Orc, which is the band that's been put together by Colin Edwin and Pat Masterletto. So Colin Edwin is the bass player in Porcupine Tree, amongst other things. And the Pat Masterletto is, of course, the legend that played drums with King Crimson and a whole bunch of other people as well. We've also got Solstice lined up for a gig, and we've got Life Signs lined up for a gig, and a whole host of other stuff as well. So this is just a very quick video to let you know that that is coming, and I will have the details for it. And I hope you can all sign up to the live streaming, because once it's here, it will be like a party. It's not going to just be like you can just watch the gig. There will be a lot going on.
In shadows of the vinyl, we gather, we share at the Sunday Club. The rhythms are where catches dancing on frets, beat echoes collide, turn the beat of our hearts, let the spirits ride. In melodies unfolding, complexity's grace, we find our connection in this sacred space. While the Sunday Club calls, embrace the sound of your dreams. Join up in crafting the magic. Together we're bursting the seams. Hear the whispers of legends, the stories ignite. The classics reborn under soft, flickering light. With every note swirling, hear the bond we weave in the tapestry of sound. Believe what you believe, depths of our souls. The sky up above, this is where progressive hearts gather in love. While the Sunday Club calls, embrace the sound of your dreams. Join up in crafting the magic. Together we're bursting the seams. Join the Patreon, don't hesitate now. Where the music beats passion, come take a bow. Each note is a journey, a passage through time. Be a part of the family, together we climb. While the Sunday Club calls, embrace the sound.